So, Manchester City have won the treble, and these are going to be the tactics they used. If you do enjoy the tactics on this channel, be sure to leave a like, drop a little comment below, and also be sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. But let's go into the testing phase and see how good Pep really is. So, it's a Pep-themed video, therefore it's going to be Pep-themed clubs, as you would imagine, and the first club is going to be Barcelona, obviously over in Spain. But we had a decent season, not as good as the other two we're going to test with, but still quite an impressive season, winning the Spanish league by quite a convincing amount of points, obviously an 11-point advantage over Real Madrid in close second place. We also had a Spanish Super Cup against Real Hispales. We scored 108 league goals. That is right, 108. Only 18 conceded and only the one red card coming in, which is very early on into the season. Going over to the team stats, we are going to be looking at a very comfortable 2.63 points per game, 108 league goals, which is quite a lot more than Real Madrid. That is one thing this tactic is definitely not shy on. That is scoring goals. Most shots for at 791. The possession, unfortunately, just nearly tied with the rest of them, but coming in at 59%. But a couple of really good teams for possession there, to be fair to them. Fewest conceded also going in our favour at 18, and the most clean sheets coming in at 27. Going into the data hub, of course, we're going to have a little look. We're looking at 2.84 goals per game, a conceded at 0.47, a pass completion at 89.03, and over 20 shots a game. And the great thing about this tactic is it does defend well, but you also maintain conceded a lot of goals because you have got the ball a lot. You've got the possession, and therefore, if you've got the ball, the other team can't score. Fairly basic, but it all adds up. Going over to the squad, we are going to be looking at a very impressive amount of goals from a certain big man here, Robert Lewandowski, with 68 goals in the season. We've got Torres with 18, 16 for Dembele, a couple of lads out here on loan, so we won't really call them out. Pedri with 9, Frankie de Jong with 9. Also got Gavi coming in with 9, Fati with also 6. By the way, Gavi was 6, did I say 9? What has happened to Ansu Fati in real life? Because at one point he was being compared to, you know, a pretty much dead replica with Vinicius Juniors in terms of skill level. What has happened to Ansu Fati? Let me know in the comments. Rafinha also coming in with 6 and 5 for Araujo. In terms of the assists, we've got 16 for Torres, Dembele with 15, 13 for Gavi, 11 for Lewandowski, Pedri with 10, Alba with 10, 9 for Koundé, De Jong with 9, 9 also for Rafinha, and also we've got loads of really good assisters in this team. Obviously, we can't count Trincao, but even without him, we've got several people contributing with 9+ assists in the season, which is a really good stat line and shows how good this tactic is at getting the whole team involved. And that's one thing which I always love to see in my tactics, which you probably figured out by now. Then go over to another giant in Europe, and that is going to be Bayern Munich, obviously over in Germany, where we had a treble winning season, funny enough. We won the Bundesliga, we won the Pokal against Borussia Dortmund, and the German Super Cup against RB Leipzig. We scored 100 league goals, bang on 100, conceded only 18, which I believe matched with Barcelona, which is fairly interesting, and also picking up, again, just the one red card. In terms of the league table, I'm going to be honest, it was very dominant. I mean, Frankfurt had one hell of a season, coming in with 71 points. RB Leipzig picking up a Champions League place, obviously coming in with 68. And Borussia Dortmund not having the best time, coming in with 62 points, with Bochum and Augsburg going down into the Bundesliga too. Going over to the team stats, we are going to be looking at some of them, quite a few of them going in our favour. Most points per game at 2.74. Most goals at bang on 100, quite convincingly over second place Frankfurt. Most shots for at over 700. Fewest shots coming in at 164. Most possession coming in at 61%. A really good stat line. Most clean sheets coming in at 19. And fewest conceded also coming in at 18. So a really, really impressive stat line. Going over to the data hub, we are going to be looking at 2.94 goals per game. Conceded at 0.53. Over 21 shots compared to the 20 we had at Barcelona. And a pass completion practically touching 90%. So, and a very, very high tackle win ratio as well, which is quite good to see as well. But one thing which we are very used to seeing with a Pep sort of style tactic is you're guaranteed 3 things: great results, possession, and pass completion. You're going to get the treble. Didn't mean to say that, but you're going to get the treble of stats, and that means you're going to win a lot of these important games, and games in general, as we did. And going over to the squad in this one, we are going to see a very nice mixture of 30 from Muller. This guy just doesn't seem to age. He feels like he's been in football for years. Musiala for 22, 14 for Sane, Choupo-Moting with 12, 11 for Sane, Goretzka with 10, 7 for De Ligt, Joshua Kimmich coming in with 6, 5 for Daley Blind, Gnabry with 5, and Koeman with 4. In terms of the assists, we are going to be looking at 17 for Joshua Kimmich, an absolutely incredible player. part of me hopes he ends up at City. Just at one point in his career, I'd love to see him in the Prem, and realistically, that's the only club I can imagine him going to, purely because of Pep. Leroy Sané with 13, 11 for Koeman, Musiala with 11, 8 for Goretzka, 7 for Sadio Mane, Davies coming in with 7, 6 for Thomas Muller, and Cancelo, the loanee, coming in with 5. So again, not as many sort of variety of how many people are getting the assists. Obviously, on this occasion, there was a bit more work getting put in by a couple of the players in the team, but still a very nice balanced effort from the lads, and one that I cannot really complain about. So 2 fantastic seasons so far, and you probably guessed who the last team's going to be. So we then go over to the Premier League and test with Manchester City. And we had a quadruple winning season over in England, nearly winning all 5 trophies, unfortunately losing to Liverpool in the FA Cup. But it's all positives, really, as we win the Champions League against Liverpool, win the Premier League quite convincingly over everybody else, wins the Carabao Cup as well against Manchester United, and also the Community Shield against Liverpool. So a really impressive season coming out of Manchester City there. We scored 110 league goals and only conceded 17. And again, to be fair, in terms of the league table, it wasn't even a competition, really. 99 points. Liverpool enjoying a decent season, nowhere near us, though, realistically. Coming in with 82. Newcastle pick up a third place finish with 80. Manchester United clench Champions League football with 76. And obviously Arsenal, Tottenham, Chelsea, all of those teams fall out of the Champions League places, with Southampton, Fulham and Nottingham Forest going down. In terms of the team stats, we are going to be looking at 2.61 points per game, most goals at 110, quite convincingly over Manchester United, most shots at 855, fewer shots against at 217, fewest conceded at 17, and the most clean sheets coming in also at 23. In terms of the possession, we have 57%, which, to be honest, is fairly decent for the Premier League. Sometimes you can overdo it in terms of like have loads of possession but not score the goals, and I want to try and get a nice mixture in there, because obviously I want to release a tactic which you guys can dominate with, and I feel like this is a very solid Pep infused, that's a luxury word, a Pep infused 4-3-3. And going over to the data hub, we are going to be looking at 2.89 goals per game, a conceded at 0.45, over 22 shots per game, and also a staggering 88.5 pass completion. And going over to the squad, we are going to have a little look as well, and we're going to filter it by goals, because it is going to be Erling Haaland coming in with 103 goals in the season, Bernardo Silva coming in with 19, Kevin De Bruyne coming in with 17, Ruben Diaz coming in with 13, and I'm going to instantly say right now, there is going to be a set piece video coming either later this year, if not the start of next year. But to be honest, this game's super awful when it comes to set pieces. Just target the near post and you will score tons and tons of goals. It's as simple as that, but I will release a video on it anyway, just to completely go over them. In terms of Phil Foden, we're going to have 9 coming in from him, Rodri with 4, then there is quite a bit of a drop-off, to be honest, because Erling Haaland does nab all of the goals. He's a target forward in this system, and again, he's literally going to get fed every opportunity he can get. So everything is about him, getting him the ball, making him finish, and that is literally exactly what he does best. So at the end of the day, that's what we went for, and it worked incredibly well. In terms of the assists, we've got 25 for Silva, Kevin De Bruyne with 24, 23 for Gomez, Phil Foden with 23, 12 for Haaland, Gundogan with 10, 9 for Jack Grealish, Walker with 9 as well. So in terms of the assists, we've got 4 players with over 20 assists. We then got a couple with 10 and above. A really, really impressive season from this entire incredible Manchester City side. And we'll start things off with the Carabao Cup final against Manchester City as we take the lead very early on with a great set piece there. You can see how overpowered the near post is. Even Phil Foden getting involved with the near post action as De Bruyne finds Laporte, who takes his time with it, into Ake, ball over the top, into Bernardo Silva, great first touch, and a kind of a good finish. De Gea should be saving it, but we love the match engine at the end of the day. We're going to build up again in the 90th minute now. One little last heartbreak for United as Rodrigo finds a great overlap and run to Bernardo Silva. Unfortunate from Luke Shaw there, and Bernardo Silva tucks it away in a comfortable 3-0 win. I also thought this was quite an impressive result, a 4-0 win over Barcelona, which, by the way, wasn't on the same save, if that makes sense, because I like to split the teams up, kind of, because otherwise we've got 3 big teams that all could win the Champions League, not getting a fair shot. So this was actually against the AI, this one, and a very impressive 4-0 win. Obviously, a game which shouldn't be this open, but Haaland gets off to a great start into Bernardo Silva, who somehow outjumps Jordi Alba, which is Very impressive by Bernardo Silva. Rarely get to see that side of his game. Then Ake finds De Bruyne, takes his time on the ball, going to look for an overlap and run. He finds it, a great ball, but Jordi Alba clears it back into Gomez, into Haaland. And like I said, you get the ball into Haaland, he is not going to let you down. He never does. Then we go again here. We win the ball back with Akanji, who goes direct. I love that approach. All the way over to Gomez. Barcelona completely fallen asleep. Gomez by himself and just goes alone this time. Forgets the two in the middle. Has a strike by himself, and why not? Barcelona caught lacking again at the defensive area. A ball back stick this time into Erling Haaland, who seals it out in a comfortable 4-0 win. And lastly, the Champions League final. Obviously, a very, very important game here and a very comfortable 3-1 win, as it is going to be Walker and De Bruyne linking up to start with, into De Bruyne, into Foden. A great first-time strike, a great bit of play from the right-hand side as well, as Darwin Núñez loses it in a critical position there. Bernardo Silva goes alone, plays it back into Phil Foden, who's had a great Champions League final thus far and makes it even better with a 56th-minute goal. To be fair, not to Manchester City, to Liverpool. They do bounce back here in the 76th minute. I remember playing this and I was like, do you know what? I'm not scared. At the end of the day, I know how good this City team is, especially with the 3 tactical variants. And as you can see by up here, we actually do manage to go and grab another goal in around the 85th minute, as we go very, very direct, to be honest, over the top into Haaland in a very comfortable 3-1 win. And that leaves us with one more thing to do, and that is to break down this fantastic tactic. If you are enjoying today's video, please do leave a like, drop a little subscription on the channel as well, and hit the notification bell, and also leave a comment on what rebuilds or tactics you want to see next, because I'm trying to add to the list, because, you know, we are getting through them right now, but do let me know. But let's go ahead and break down this tactic. So this is going to be Pep's treble winning tactics, and again, there's going to be 3 variants as always. I want to thank all of the names coming down the screen right now. These are either going to be new or existing Patreon members. Patreon, or becoming a patron, is a great way to support me as a creator, and also you get some fantastic perks which you can see in the description as well. But just to quickly go over them, you get early video access, early tactic access to all 3 of the tactic files, priority in your rebuild and tactic requests, one-on-one tactical help, and also exclusive access to the giveaways, which are going to feature the likes of FM23, going to feature the likes of multiple different games, to be honest. I'm trying to just do mostly gaming giveaways, maybe some football shirts as well, but definitely check it out if you are interested. But let's go ahead and talk about Pep's treble winning tactics. Firstly, any Manchester City fans, I am a United fan, but congratulations. I've got to tip it. At the end of the day, it's an incredible season. So firstly, we'll get that out of the way and swept under the rug, but well done. But it's going to be built off a custom vertical tiki-taka style, a positive mentality. In possession, we're going to have fairly wide, play out of defence, shorter passing directness, a slightly lower tempo, mixed crosses, work ball into the box, and that is nice and simple on that aspect. In transition, we're going to have counter press, counter, and take short goal kicks. Now, we're not choosing to purely go to the back line, because obviously Ederson sometimes has that vision where he picks up the ball and is like, oh, he's out on the wing, we'll ping it there. Or, oh, he's in behind, we'll ping it there. So in my opinion, taking long goal kicks is a bit wasteful, because usually they never really go anywhere that good. But taking short goal kicks is going to utilise, obviously, going into the playmakers, into the flanks, and just not forcing him to go always to the back line does allow for that situation to happen. And that is incredibly realistic of Ederson. Out of possession, we've got the higher defensive line. If you wish to concede less goals, you can drop to a standard line, obviously, but that wouldn't be strictly what Pep is playing. To be honest, Pep would probably have a much higher line, but in FM, that can sometimes be a bit too much to play across an entire season. A high pressing line of engagement, much more often, and prevent short goalkeeper distribution. Now, going over to what are going to be the player roles, we're going to have a sweeper keeper on the default, so nice and simple. We're going to have a wing back on attack on the right on stay wider. We're going to opt for a ball playing defender on the default on defend, and that is also going to be exactly the same. So to clarify, 2 ball playing defenders, both on defend, both on the default for your centre half options. On the left, we've got an inverted wing back on support on the default. I didn't really find the need to faff about with this too much. The sort of default instructions are exactly what I want him to do, and it works really, really well. But then you go over to the sort of anchor in the team, and he is going to be told to be on defend and also tackle harder. Again, you could opt for a DM if you've got a player that does perform there a lot. Like, I don't know, if you've got a player more comfortable, for example, that plays in that role. But if you can, I would recommend trying to stick to this as much as you can. Next to him, you could have a box-to-box, but I've actually opted for a central midfielder. I feel like it sort of suits Gundogan's role a little bit more better, in my opinion. On support, on take fewer risks, shoot less often, and roam from position. Now, these instructions are going to drastically change when we go to the attacking variant, which you will see coming up later in the video. We then opt for a Metzala on attack, on cross more often, dribble more, and also shoot more often. And that is going to be your three in midfield, the heart of the midfield. Going over to the left-hand side, we've got a winger on attack, on cross aim centre. Obviously, that works incredibly well with the inverted wing-back option, a great partnership down that left-hand side. On the right-hand side, we've got an inverted winger on support, on cross aim centre, and also roam from position. This is where your Bernardo Silva's going to be playing. And to finish it off, for Erling Haaland, we have got the target forward on attack, on shoot more often, and also move into channels. So that is going to be the default version broken down. I'll turn this on just quickly because otherwise I will forget. So as you can see, it's a nice mixture of positions, and in my opinion, the most accurate which I could get to Pep's 4-3-3 system. I know he's been playing a 3-2-4-1 later on, but at the start of the season to the middle of the season, he was utilising this 4-3-3. Do I think he's going to use this next season? Possibly not. I think he's going to go with the 3-2-4-1 again, but it will be interesting to see nevertheless. Now, going over to the attacking variant, as you can see, there are some changes. So the first change right off the bat is going to be the advanced forward. I simply have this because in FM it performs better in terms of like you're getting the max out of your striker, and he is simply told to shoot more often. On the right, we've moved up the inverted winger on attack to cross aim centre, shoot more often as well, and roam from position. It's exactly the same on the winger on the left as well. Going over to the midfield, obviously the Metzala is going to remain the same because, again, he's already very attacking. And the centre mid is the only other change where there are a lot more different instructions on him. And he's going to be still a central midfielder on support, but he's on take fewer risks, shoot more often, get further forwards, roam from position, and also move into the channels. And he is going to have lots of shots at that goal. Every other position does remain the same, just to clarify. In terms of the team instructions, we've got the attacker mentality on. In possession, we have got fairly wide. Play out of defence is an absolute must still. Shorter, slightly lower. Be more expressive is going to be ticked on now because we are obviously trying to chase the game. Work ball into the box alongside of mixed crosses. In transition, you can imagine the key change is going to be distribute quickly because we are trying to get back into the game as quickly as what we can. And out of possession is actually going to remain the same because with this system, you can have the much higher line, but since you guys are copying this click for click, I don't want you guys to get annoyed if you start conceding loads. But I will say right now, do it at your own risk. If you are desperately chasing a game, do use the much higher line because it will get you a goal, but you will be quite vulnerable at the back. So risk it as you will, but I will give you that bit of advice. Going over back to the default, just to do a little memory refresher, we are now going to look and take some time to break down the defensive variant. As you can see, a few changes. So both of the fullbacks are now going to be on support, as you can imagine, because we want them to be a little bit more restricted. The anchor does remain the same. The central midfielder goes back to his default, so that is going to be take fewer risks, shoot less often, and roam from position. Even the Metzala is quite restricted now as well. On support, on cross more often still. On the left-hand side, we've got a winger on cross aim centre. On the right, we've got the inverted winger on cross aim centre. We've removed the roam from position because we want them to be quite sort of stable where they are. They can come back and sort of help and defend. Don't want him roaming anywhere too out there. And to finish it off, in terms of the player instructions, we've got the target forward on support on this occasion, just so it's a little bit deeper, and that is going to be told to still move into channels because we want one player causing a little bit of trouble going forward because otherwise we're simply going to be all in our own half, defending. In terms of the team instructions, it's going to be a balanced mentality. In possession, we've got shorter, slightly lower, still playing out from the back, by the way. Time wasting, obviously set to frequently. Don't know how Pep-like this is, but this is my sort of style on it as well. When you are defending a game, sometimes you need to branch away from how a certain manager would play if you really want to defend a game out. Dribble less to obviously go down a more possession-based route, and work ball into the box is still going to be selected on. In transition, we've got counter press, nothing selected for when it's been won. Slow the pace down, obviously. Still taking short goal kicks to pretty much any area. And out of possession, we've got the standard line, a little bit more deep, a little bit more sort of consistent and reliable. Still got the high pressing line, still got much more often, and still putting obviously a lot of pressure on the goalkeeper distribution. And that is going to be 3 fantastic variants of Pep's treble winning tactics. Again, congratulations to Manchester City. And if you guys have enjoyed today's video, it would mean the absolute world to me if you would drop a little like. Also, if you do enjoy the content, please do subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another upload again. We've got 5 videos coming weekly right now. We're absolutely smashing it. And you guys, the support has been mind-blowing. So seriously, much love, and I'll catch you in the next one.